I did expect that when we got a constitutional law professor to be the President of the United States instead of a guy who hadn't apparently read the Constitution ever, this would automatically make things better. It has not. Barack Obama is talking about Jesus frankly, more than George Bush did.
This is Faith Complex, a dialogue about the entanglement of religion, politics, and art.
Hello, my name is Jacques Berlinblau of Georgetown University, and you're watching Faith Complex. Joining us today is Reverend Barry Lind, Executive Director of Americans United for Separation of Church and State, and he is also the author of Piety and Politics, The Right-Wing Assault on Religious Freedom. Reverend Lind, welcome to Faith Complex.
Nice to be here.
Well, glad to have you, and it's just so nice to have a secularist in this chair. We rarely see secularists in these parts anymore.
Well, you know, I guess there's two kinds of secularists. There are those who say there is no God, and then there are those who say whether there's a God or not, we want the government of the United States to be secular. And I'm certainly in that latter category.
Right. You're not an atheist secularist, which is one type of secularist.
Absolutely, but I do think that atheists and believers can join together if they really understand the history of this country and understand that the best thing you can do for every ideology and every religion out there, the best thing you can do for government, keep a decent distance between the two.
So why don't you help us understand what a religious secularist is? I take it you're a reverend, you're a religious person.
No,
Tell us
absolutely.
About a religious secularist.
I think a religious secularist says, look, whatever my religion is, I'm going to tell you about it if you ask. Maybe occasionally even if you don't ask. But I do not want the government, nor do I expect the government to help me be religious. I don't expect it to pay. I don't expect the government to dump money into my collection plate. I don't expect my symbols to be placed on public property. I don't believe that my prayers ought to be prayed in a public school, or for that matter, at an inauguration of a president. I'll do that myself, thank you very much. Government barely can deliver the mail to the right house. I don't want it to run my religion for me.
And given what you've just said, I would surmise that 2010 has been a very, very difficult year for you. What are you looking at out there in terms of church-state transgressions?
Well, two big problems. Number one, I did expect that when we got a constitutional law professor to be the President of the United States instead of a guy who hadn't apparently read the Constitution ever, this would automatically make things better. It has not. Barack Obama is talking about Jesus frankly, more than George Bush did. The other big trend where the religious right doesn't have access to the people in power because there aren't Republicans in power, the truth is the Council of Catholic Bishops, for example, has exercised power within the so-called moral vacuum. Now they're speaking to Democrats. They're talking about why they oppose same-sex marriage, talking about anti-choice and reproductive matters. So they're filling the void. It's a big, big set of problems.
What did you expect? And what happened with the candidacy of Barack Obama and then the presidency of Barack Obama on the church-state issues that you've spent your life fighting for?
You kind of get a hint that something's going wrong when the president-elect decides to have Rick Warren, who really is just a religious right character, fundamentally different.
Well, he agreed to that debate, remember that?
Well, he agreed to a debate, and then the religious right basically set up the questions. Barack Obama did worse during the campaign at the Saddleback Church because the questions were setups. I mean, if I were on the religious right, I could have written those questions myself. During the campaign, we had 3 forums of one kind or another with most of the players seeking the presidency about religion. We didn't have one about science. I mean, I don't think we should have questions, what's the quadratic equation, Senator McCain? No, I don't remember that either. But I think we should have asked questions about science more so than we did about religion. Now, Barack Obama chooses as the first person to give a prayer on Inauguration Day Rick Warren, a guy who is homophobic, a man who has all kinds of attitudes that are not dissimilar from those of Jerry Falwell or Pat Robertson.
All right, now you're a Georgetown University trained lawyer, and you know these issues inside out. Give us a sense, bring us to the cutting edge, litigation-wise. What's going on in the courts right now vis-a-vis this ill-fated, star-crossed Office of Faith-Based Initiatives and Neighborhood Partnerships?
Well, without getting too technical, it's very difficult to get what's called standing, the ability to even bring a lawsuit to challenge some of the faith-based activities because of some very bad decisions recently by the United States Supreme Court. One of the things we're litigating, though, is can you have a discriminatory hiring policy and still receive any government funds from all the taxpayers who ironically are all paying into a pot, but some of those taxpayers might be barred because of their religion or lack of religion from even getting the job that is on the table.
Right, but for the government to even monitor these programs, to me anyhow, it seems like the definition of excessive entanglement, no?
It's certainly excessive entanglement to me when you start looking at the bank books of a religious organization. A lot of these religious groups just mix the money from the government along with the money that they get from a small congregation or a donation through the mail. And ironically, this administration to date isn't even forcing them to keep separate books. It really would be good both for the church autonomy and integrity and good for the taxpayers to have a clean difference between government funds and private ones. But even there, so far, no go.
Can the IRS save us? I know that sounds like a very short, often the IRS emerges as a beacon of neutrality because they're really interested in the bottom line in terms of 501c3 regulations. Is there anything the IRS can do to look at what's going on with money, the government, taxes, religion?
Even Richard Nixon couldn't corrupt the Internal Revenue Service. He tried to, but he couldn't do it. I think a lot of folks at the Internal Revenue Service take seriously a number of things about the scrutiny of charities, but religious groups have something special. They have something called the Church Audit Procedures Act, which basically means one more giant big stone in front of the door, making it more difficult for the IRS to come in and investigate.